First and foremost, this is going to be worrying for a lot of people. Just going to think, well, what on earth is going on here? How serious is monkeypox?
So, thankfully, the strain that we have in Europe and around the world is the weaker strain. It's not that very fatal. Only 5 people have died from it globally. And it does cause mild symptoms in most people, but it's usually the eruptions. So in terms of clinically, it's not that serious.
So why are we getting so worked up about it?
So I think it's because it's one of those. It's not a new disease, but it's a disease that's jumped from animals to humans, and it's been spread amongst humans. And I think the WHO have they've eaten a lot of criticism for COVID. So their response was said to be quite slow. And what they want to do now is set the precedents moving forward that if it meets the criteria and it triggers, they need to use their powers better. And that's what we're seeing here. So for some people, and I think that the vote was split, and the chair was the casting vote, I think they've decided that the way the WHO wants to move forward is to almost move ahead of times and not lag behind.
What is a pox? I mean, we have chicken pox, smallpox, there are all sorts of... Is a pox a particular sort of disease?
It's the lesion. Basically, it's the lesion. So
it's like blisters?
Fluid-filled lesions, and then it breaks and then it cracks and dries. That's basically what a pox is. So it's when something's a chicken pox or monkeypox, it's just kind of defining the way it looks on the skin. Yeah. And the same with smallpox. They look very similar, and that's part of how you used to diagnose them.
Right.
And you said that we have a variant of it at the moment in the UK and Europe, which isn't so. So is it constantly doing that? Is it mutating?
Not really. So the good thing about monkeypox, good thing, is that it's double-stranded, which means it's a boring way of saying that unlike COVID, it doesn't change as much. The reason why we're seeing so much of it passing around is that it's got into a group who have lots of contacts, and groups that have lots of contacts. So that's why it's spreading, and that's probably the driving force. That's what scientists think at the moment.
But at the moment you say not dangerous, or not very dangerous, but unpleasant.
Very unpleasant, yeah. And it is spreading. So it does trigger. It does trigger, and it's something that we need to be aware of.
I was going to say, as a GP then, what would you be looking out for?
So it's now that more evidence is coming out that so it's not a sexually transmitted disease, but it's more prevalent in certain groups. So men who have sex with men, they're the highest at-risk group. So as a GP, it would be looking for the vulnerable groups, and even vulnerable patients who are more likely to have the side effects, the pox. But other than that, it's that classic viral symptoms, the muscle aches, the temperature, the not feeling right, that fits in. And it's kind of just doing the good history and finding out.
And if you are in one of those groups, can you get a vaccine?
So, yeah, so this is why it's a good thing that they've kind of upgraded it, because what it does is it mobilises lots of funding. So the UK, I think yesterday, it's triggered into getting 100,000 more vaccines for the vulnerable community. So yes, you can. It's very similar to the smallpox vaccine. In fact, they're related. That's why it works. And it also triggers new research. So we're looking for better vaccines to help.
Would you advise, if you were in one of those vulnerable groups, would you advise people to go to their GP and ask for a vaccine?
I think if you are having symptoms, and there's a good chance that you would have put yourself at risk, so if you know a first-degree contact, so if you hear... The thing that we need to focus on is removing stigma around this. What's happening with monkeypox is people are seeing it almost like a thing that they don't want to go to their doctors for. So we might be underestimating the numbers. So removing that stigma, understanding it's treatable, understanding the care is there, is really important.
Yeah.